December has always been a time of the year for celebration, for spreading mirth, merriment and joy to our fellow human beings. You might have your own traditions when it comes to this most festive of seasons, filling the house with decorations, enjoying a massive feast, or watching some of your favourite holiday-themed movies, even if they were released in July. Funnily enough, one franchise that you wouldn't expect to be associated with this time of year is Star Wars. I think it's safe to say that if you don't know what Star Wars is by now, you probably have been living in a galaxy far, far away. From its initial inception in 1997, Star Wars has grown into arguably the biggest and most popular sci-fi franchise in the world. From movies, to TV shows, to video games, to comic books, theme parks, toys, clothes, costumes, board games, backpacks, lunchboxes, you could slap that logo onto anything and Star Wars fans will eat it up. In some cases quite literally. Nearly every year since 2015, Disney has released a new Star Wars film around the December period. And this year they're going a step further, by actually tying in with the festive season with the LEGO Star Wars Holiday Special on Disney+. That's great for those who can afford it. For those who can't, well, you can always try looking up the first Holiday Special. After the incredible success of the original Star Wars film, George Lucas was approached with the idea of producing a 2-hour TV special based off of it. While Lucas did apparently sign off on the idea, he is largely uncredited with its production, as at the time he was too busy working on his next film, Empire Strikes Back. Instead, various variety show writers and producers were hired to oversee production following the guidelines left by Lucas. The show was to be set within the main continuity, and was planned out to feature several different segments, including comedy sketches, musical performances, guest stars, and even an animated short. All of which would be tied together by a main storyline starring returning members of the original cast. On November 17th, 1978, the Star Wars Holiday Special aired on the CBS network, and gained such an extremely negative reception that it has not aired on television since, nor has it been released on home video. In fact, no official version of the special has been released in any form, only bootleg copies that have been passed around at various conventions. The footage you're seeing right now is what I could find on YouTube at the time of writing. I don't know what possessed me to finally track down this special and give it a watch, but I did, and I'm here now to present you with my thoughts. The show begins with Han Solo and Chewbacca in the Millennium Falcon, as they try to outrun an Imperial fleet. Han is attempting to get Chewie back home to his family, so they can celebrate a Wookiee holiday called Life Day.
I'll get you back there in time, pal, trust me. That's the spirit, you'll be celebrating Life Day before you know it.
This is why the show is referred to as a holiday special and not, say, a Christmas special. It's obviously meant to be a placeholder so that no direct connections can be made with any real-life holidays, be they cultural, religious, or otherwise. Well, it seems like they're giving up on that idea. We then get our opening titles that are absolutely nothing like the films, and a rundown of the cast with some awkward headshots. Luke looks like he can't believe he agreed to this, Leia is looking so spaced out right now, and they must have left one of Han's outtakes in there because Harrison Ford looks directly at the camera. Did they think we wouldn't notice? Also, I thought they had completely snubbed Kenny Baker, as R2-D2 is credited as himself, while Anthony Daniels and Peter Mayhew got their credit in, but it turns out that Baker wasn't even involved in the special at all. I can't tell whether that was better or worse for him. Now you're probably thinking that since the majority of the main cast is here, we'll be spending most of our time with them, right?
No, ma petite chérie.
No, instead we'll be spending a large part of the show with Chewbacca's family. His wife, Mara, his dad, Itchy, and his son, Lumpy. Yes, those are their actual names. So instead of zipping around the galaxy and battling the Empire, we're stuck watching what I can only describe as a Wookiee sitcom. Oh, it's worse than you think, because these Wookiees don't speak a word of English, only the natural grunts. Which wouldn't be too bad, except that there are no subtitles, so we have no idea what they're saying. These are technically our main characters, and we can't understand them whatsoever. Should I provide the subtitles myself? Alright, fine, but if I can make the granddad sound like Father Hackett. But instead of doing his chores, Lumpy ends up watching a weird holographic circus performance. The act itself is not bad, but you're completely distracted by the bizarre costumes they're wearing, the truly awful green screen effects, and the absolutely terrible backing music. Not helped by the fact that we keep coming back to this terrifying visage. Marla starts getting worried about Chewie, so she calls up Luke for help.
Whoa, wait a minute, one at a time.
What do you mean one at a time? You can barely understand one of them on their own. Luke himself is acting a little weird too, and slightly creepy as well.
Come on, Marla, let's see a little smile. Come on. There, that's better.
Could you tell that this guy would end up playing the Joker? Still not satisfied, Marla contacts a local trader, played by R.I.P, who delivers to her a not-so-subtly coded message.
Let me assure you, madam, it's on its way. You know, it was made especially for you by a little old woman 4 planets away. In fact, you might say she did it by hand. Solo.
Yes, in fact we were lucky to get it since it was the Obi-Wan left. I'm sorry. With her fears now somewhat alleviated, Marla begins preparing dinner by watching a cookery program hosted by this robot maid / pantomime dame thing, played by Harvey Korman. It's the first of 3 characters Korman plays throughout this special, and it is by far the weirdest and most eccentric.
Come on, faster all together now. Cooking can be fun. Stir, whip, stir, stir, whip, stir, whip, stir. Wah!
You know, I'm strangely in love with the idea that this was someone's first experience with Star Wars, and this was one of the things they saw. This balmy 4-armed Delia Smith that can't even use a ladle properly.
Oh, wonderful! Coming along nicely.
After showing a bit more of Han and Chewie running away from stock footage, we return to the Wookiee household as they're visited by the trader from earlier, who comes bearing gifts. Now this has turned into a Mirrorverse version of Harry and the Hendersons. I have to say that while it's nice to now have a character that I can actually understand, Arcani's performance is a bit all over the place. He tends to end up rambling quite a bit or improvising unusual routines.
I just thought I'd show you some of the stupid stuff those Wookiees purchased from me.
I brought you that proton pack, you know, for the the thingamabob. The mind evaporator, that's it.
I don't like embarrassing people. I don't like being embarrassed myself. That's why I don't like to embarrass people. I just said that.
I don't know if it's because he keeps forgetting his lines, or if there wasn't much of a script to go off of. Either one is plausible. The trader sets up Itchy with a virtual reality program that introduces us to our first musical performer, Diane Carroll. While Diane is a fantastic singer, I'm just too distracted by the low quality special effects that turn what would have been an otherwise great performance into a poor attempt at a James Bond title sequence. There are also very uncomfortable implications over what this sequence is supposed to be within the context of the show. The trader's description of the program is a little sketchy.
I thought you might like this. It's one of those, it's kind of hard to explain. It's a, wow.
And even Diane outright describes herself as his fantasy.
I am your fantasy. I am your experience. So experience me.
Okay, I think Itchy's getting way too excited, so let's move on. We cut to Princess Leia and C-3PO working at the office when Marla makes contact with them, but Leia is unwilling to communicate through her droid.
I don't want to type the channels, so could you do me a favor and send either Chewbacca or Han Solo to the screen, please?
Wait, that implies that you can understand Chewbacca and not Marla. How does that make sense? They sound exactly the same! Fortunately, the trader is there and says he'll look after the family until Han and Chewie arrive. Then suddenly, there's a knock at the door. Oh no, stormtroopers! Quick, stand directly in their line of sight. It's the safest place! Imperial officers force their way into the home believing that Han and Chewie are hiding out somewhere. And to be perfectly honest, there's not much else to talk about for the next 40 minutes. The troopers march about ransacking the place while the trader does his best to distract and waste their time.
Will you get on with it?
Before he's eventually kicked out. Interspersed throughout all this, we get a performance by the Jefferson Starship, with a terrible pink glow of everything, Harvey Korman as a malfunctioning robot hosting a construction video, riveting, and an animated short that is actually not that bad. It features the first official appearance of Boba Fett and helps to expand the wider Star Wars universe. Although the animation can be a little temperamental. I mean, just look at Han. They turned him into Brock from Pokemon. What, is he going to use his trusty frying pan as a drying pan? Most people consider this to be easily the best part of the entire special. I'd like to challenge that with the Mos Eisley Cantina sketch. This scene stars Bea Arthur as a bartender trying to clear out her clientele as the Empire's just ordered a curfew on the entire planet. Harvey Korman is back again as an alien suitor for Bea Arthur, who also drinks through a funnel in the top of his head.
Now, you stay just as long as you want.
this is still not the weirdest character he's played in this show. Like I said, I have kind of a soft spot for this sketch. Bea Arthur's character is likeable enough, and it does appear like she's trying to put in a good performance. All the different characters and costumes are fun and creative, and some of them would end up being used in future films. Even the musical number has a certain charm and appeal to it, even if they somehow managed to turn the Cantina band theme into a Yiddish folk song. The animated short may be a lot of people's favourites, but personally I prefer this one. Lumpy uses the construction video from earlier to build a translation device, which he then uses to trick the Imperials into leaving. However, one lone stormtrooper stays behind and discovers the ruse. Luckily, Han and Chewie arrive to save the day. Well, that was pretty rude of the stormtrooper. Everybody knows that Han jumps first. Chewie reunites with his family and they all prepare to celebrate Life Day. In a very odd sequence of events, the Wookiees gather together holding a bunch of glowing orbs, then they suddenly appear in space wearing long red robes, then they walk through space into a bright light, eventually ending up in a clearing with a bunch of other Wookiees. And yes, it sounds as horrible as you can imagine. Weirder still is that Luke, Han, Leia, and the droids all show up as well. Did they all have to walk through space to get here? Is Leia surviving in space actually canon taken from this special? Luke and Han are happy to see Chewie, the droids lament about how they can't share in their joy because they're robots, and Leia gives a speech about hoping that one day they can all live in peace and harmony, before breaking into song expressing those exact same feelings to the classic Star Wars theme. Oh come on, the Cantina theme was one thing, but to the main theme of the entire series? Apparently, Carrie Fisher insisted that she would only do the special if she'd be allowed to sing at some point. Now granted, she does sound rather pleasant, but the vocals don't match up with the music at all.
A day that brings the promise that one day we'll be free.
Was this seriously the best that they could do? Couldn't they have just taken some generic Christmas song and replaced all the mentions of Christmas with Life Day and Star Wars references or something? We wish you a happy Life Day? The 12 days of Life Day? All I want for Life Day is my dead aunt and uncle back? Anyway, then they show some clips from A New Hope, Chewbacca stares into our souls, and that's about it. Show's over. This was honestly a struggle to get through. No wonder it hasn't been shown again, or given an official release. It's that bad. Having the Wookiees be our main protagonist with no subtitles provided was a really bad choice. Nothing but grunts and yells and these terrifying costume designs throughout the show. The main plot thread is poorly written and possibly even in bad taste. I know the Empire is often being compared to the Nazis, but forcing themselves into the homes of families and searching for people hiding in there is not exactly helping things. The special effects are also terrible to watch. Sure, TV effects at the time were nowhere near the quality of a big-budget Hollywood blockbuster film, but these were still pretty awful, with shoddy green screen everywhere you look, and odd effect choices that ruined some parts of the show that otherwise are actually quite enjoyable. The comedy can be kind of hit or miss for me. Any of the times where I didn't laugh was either due to some of the routines dragging on way too long, or certain jokes just going completely over my head. And a few times where I did laugh was more due to the absurdity or insanity of what I was watching. That's not to say that there weren't a few moments that I found myself genuinely enjoying. The musical performances were great, the cartoon is a lot of fun, despite some dodgy animation, and I could probably watch an entire series of Bea Arthur running a bar on an alien planet. Overall though, the Star Wars Holiday Special was an absolute shambles. Trying to combine a high-energy sci-fi drama with the typical variety show format was not a good combination, but it's one that could have ended up being an annual tradition. According to some sources, CBS wanted Lucas to produce a new holiday-themed Star Wars show every year, but since the 78 show was a total flop, any future plans were cancelled. To repeat what I said at the start though, Star Wars has slowly begun to ingratiate itself with the festive season, and this year they're even daring to dive back into that holiday well with the LEGO Holiday Special on Disney+. Whether this does become an annual event is something only time will tell. But as long as we don't have a family of Wookiees taking centre stage again, I'm sure that things will work out just fine. And speaking personally, I hope that things will work out for you as well. This year has been far from the best, but I hope that the future is much brighter. In the words of Princess Leia herself, this holiday is yours, but we all share with you the hope that this day will bring us closer to freedom and to harmony and to peace. No matter how different we appear, we're all the same in our struggle against the powers of evil and darkness. I hope that this day will always be a day of joy in which we can reconfirm our dedication and our courage, and more than anything else, our love for one another. So no matter what you may be celebrating this year, be it Christmas, Hanukkah, Life Day, or whatever, I hope that you are safe, I hope that you are merry, and I hope that the next year brings you nothing but joy and happiness for you and your loved ones. Happy holidays, everyone.
Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars. Give me the Star Wars, don't let them end. Star Wars, if they should bar wars, please let these Star Wars stay. And hey, how about that nutty Star Wars bar? Can you forget all the creatures in there? And hey, Darth Vader in that black and evil mask, did he scare you as much as he scared me? Star Wars, those near and far wars, my seventh winner up here, Star Wars!